Hello everyone, this is Shadow. Due to copyright restrictions on YouTube, I can't publish many of the audiobooks you love. That's why I've created a special paid service where you can enjoy over 300 high-quality audiobooks from platforms like Webnovel, Pocket FM, Audible, Wuxia, and more. Each novel comes as a one-time purchase, no subscriptions, no hidden fees. After payment, you'll receive full access via Telegram, along with all future updates for that novel. You'll find a wide selection of your favorite genres and titles, always in premium audio quality. Check the full list of available novels in the description. DM me now to get your favorite stories in audiobook form and start listening today. Chapter 161. Time passed. Another 5 years went by. With the way of Taiji as its foundation, the way of Xianhuang as its framework, and countless evolution paths as its flesh, Taiji primordial spirit emerge within the Naiwan Palace at Lin Yuan's glabella. An endless galaxy composed of Tai-Yin and Tai-Yang energies. The primordial spirit sat in the center, suddenly transforming into two distinct colors of Yin and Yang. Immediately after, the primordial spirit separated into two figures. One figure was shrouded in the Yin energy of Tai-Yin, its face indistinct. The other figure was enveloped in the bright energy of Tai-Yang, its eyes radiant. This is the primordial spirit I desired. The two primordial spirits gazed at each other. In fact, these two figures, rather than being called primordial spirits, would be more appropriate to term as Yin God and Yang Spirit. To be precise, when divided, they are the Yin God and Yang Spirit. When combined, they are the Taiji primordial spirit. Yin God, Yang Spirit. In the outside world, Lin Yuan opened his eyes. With a mere thought, the Yin God and Yang Spirit separated from the body. They sat opposite Lin Yuan's original form. Does this count as triumph division of the one Qi? Lin Yuan's consciousness split into three, looking at the three versions of himself, a strange expression on his face. Since they all shared the same consciousness, Lin Yuan felt as though he'd opened three perspectives at this moment. No matter if it's the Yin God or the Yang Spirit, since they are made from the power of the soul, and aren't restricted by a physical body, they naturally can change their size at will. Lin Yuan thought to himself. Lin Yuan speculated with the current strength of his Yin God and Yang Spirit. If he were to let go completely, they could probably reach a size of 10,000 zhang. Yin God of 10,000 zhang. Yang Spirit of 10,000 zhang. At the underground palace hall, Nuan Shu sat at the position below the main seat, frowning in thought. During Lin Yuan's seclusion, the many affairs of the demonic Tao were all decided by Nuan Shu. None of the 9 demon lords had any complaints, nor dared to have any. It's almost 10 years. Why has there been no news from Situ the Protector? Nuan Shu's expression showed a trace of worry. Situ the Protector, like Nuan Shu in past years, was one of the 36 protectors under the Demon Lord. He was also just as loyal to the Demon Lord as Nuan Shu. After Xiahou Yuan was suppressed at the 18th layer of the Great Abyss Ground, Nuan Shu convened the remaining demon followers loyal to the Demon Lord, thinking of ways to rescue the Demon Lord. Meanwhile, Situ the Protector infiltrated the Tianjian sect, providing support to Nuan Shu by passing on intelligence from outside. In the era when the Demon Lord ruled over the demons of the 5 domains, Situ the Protector was renowned for his ability to transform and conceal his qi. With Situ's methods, if he fully exerted himself to conceal and transform his qi, even a 9th realm powerhouse would not detect him. Thanks to this skill, Situ the Protector did well inside the Tianjian sect and gained access to a lot of intelligence. Before Xiahou Yuan emerged from the Great Abyss, Nuan Shu led the remaining demon followers in avoiding the encirclement and assassination attempts by the righteous forces several times, largely due to the information passed on by Situ the Protector. It was because of Situ the Protector's support within the Tianjian sect that Nuan Shu and the other demons survived through that most difficult time. After Lin Yuan emerged from the Great Abyss and took over the underground palace, subduing the 9 demon lords once again, Nuan Shu then sent word to Situ the Protector, telling him to return and that he no longer needed to hide in the Tianjian sect, fraught with danger. However, up to the present, Nuanshu had not received any response from Situ the Protector. Could he have been discovered by the Tianjin sect? Nuanshu speculated in her heart but then shook her head, dismissing the idea. She held Situ the Protector's life fire, which indicated his life and death. Given Situ the Protector's loyalty to the Demon Lord, if discovered by the Tianjin sect, he would definitely commit suicide without hesitation. Even if he didn't commit suicide, if captured alive by the Tianjin sect, they wouldn't leave him alive after a soul search. Either outcome would certainly extinguish Situ the Protector's life fire. Since the life fire was still burning, it indicated that Situ the Protector was safe for the time being, at least still alive. Hopefully nothing untoward happens. Nuanshu sighed. Over the years, Situ the Protector had risked his life hiding within the Tianjin sect to rescue the Demon Lord. Now that the Demon Lord had returned, if he could come back alive, his status would at least be no lower than hers. Tianjin sect. Mists drifted aimlessly. It was like an immortal realm. A middle-aged man with an honest face walked along the mountain path, his gaze betraying a hint of anxiousness. Tianjin has broken into the 10th realm, yet he deliberately seals off all information. Hiding within the gates of the mountain with other powerful figures from the 5 domains. He must be trying to lure the revered figure to come here on his own initiative. The man with the honest face thought to himself in silence. He was none other than Situ, the Protector, who had been hiding his true identity within the Tianjin sect for decades, treading on thin ice until today. Although he was but a disciple and had not taken part in Tianjin's secretive discussions with the powerful fighters of the 5 domains, he had guessed quite a bit from all the abnormalities revealed by the Tianjin sect over the years, and the terrifying aura that had pervaded a decade ago. No, this won't do. I must get out. And tell the revered figure not to come to Tianjin sect at all costs. Situ, the Protector, steadied his spirit and began to ponder carefully. Other than delivering the crucial information, Situ was even more aware that his identity could not be concealed for much longer. In recent years, Tianjin's dreadful sensory perception had enveloped the entire Tianjin sect multiple times, brushing past Situ on several occasions. Situ had a feeling that if this happened a few more times, Tianjin might very likely detect something unusual about him. Situ's skill at concealing his presence could fool someone of the 9th realm, but for someone like Tianjin who was of the 10th realm, if it weren't for his good performance in recent years and Tianjin not paying close attention to him, his identity would have likely been exposed several years earlier. Situ did not fear death, but what he feared was that upon his death, the revered figure would fall into the schemes of Tianjin sect. I'll have to try that secret passage. Situ made up his mind. Tianjin, in hopes of a successful ambush, had the whole Tianjin sect sealed off, forbidding anyone to enter or leave. Situ, like any other disciple, was no exception. It wasn't simply the blocking of all exits, but over the years, Situ had discovered a hidden path leading outside. It was just uncertain whether it could escape Tianjin's perception. However, Situ now had no choice. He could only take the risk and try. At the summit of Tianjin Peak, Tianjin and the other powerful beings all showed signs of impatience. 10 years had passed. A full decade they had been lying in wait here. Yet Xiahou Yuan just wouldn't take the bait and had not come to seek revenge. If it weren't for those present who had personally experienced the righteous demonic battle 3 or 4 decades earlier, and knew how Bai Qinger had broken Xiahou Yuan's spirit, a feud that could only end with the death of one side, they would perhaps have suspected that Xiahou Yuan had already abandoned his vendetta. Sect leader, what exactly is going on with Xiahou Yuan? One of the 9th realm powerhouses asked in a low voice. Having come to the Tianjin sect and stayed for 10 years, his own forces must have been affected. Yes, sect leader, is Xiahou Yuan coming or not? If not, we're leaving. The other powerhouses in the area spoke out one after another. Although they hadn't been treated badly at the Tianjin sect, everyone had families and forces that needed managing and overseeing. Being absent for a whole decade was unacceptable to anyone. It was only because of Tianjianzi's high prestige as a once in tens of thousands of years 10th realm being that the others had not yet left. Everyone, please be patient. Tianjianzi opened his eyes, his expression calm as he said, the later he comes, the more it suggests that Xiahou Yuan has been seriously injured. If you cannot even wait for 10 years, how can we talk about dealing with Xiahou Yuan? At this, Tianjianzi paused for a moment, then continued, however, I believe that Xiahou Yuan should be arriving soon. Tianjianzi's words, like a calming anchor, gave the others a great deal of confidence. Well then, if the sect leader says so, we will wait a few more years. True, honestly, unless I see Xiahou Yuan's corpse, I won't dare leave. Ha ha ha, well said. The expressions of the many powerhouses relaxed, and on second thought, staying within the Tianjian sect was not too bad, especially since it supplied heavenly earth vital energy superior to that of their own forces. Tianjianzi glanced at the many powerhouses. He too was somewhat anxious, but letting go of this opportunity and allowing the powerhouses to leave would likely lead to the news of his breakthrough to the 10th realm being leaked. Then how could Xiahou Yuan possibly dare to come? Just as Tianjianzi was about to speak again, suddenly, Tianjianzi's brows furrowed. He looked towards a certain area outside the mountain gate. Chapter 162. Welcoming the Demon Lord back to the 5 domains. Compared to the champions of the 9th realm, the champions of the 10th realm had substantially heightened perception. Take Tianjianzi, for instance, should he choose, his divine sense could envelop the entire Tianjian sect. During the period when the mountains were sealed, Tianjianzi, to ensure absolutely no leakage of information, covered it constantly with his own divine sense. Under such a method, even if a mere fly were to leave the range of the Tianjian sect, Tianjianzi would be aware. And just moments ago, Tianjianzi keenly sensed a very weak presence, quickly leaving the Tianjian sect through a secret passageway. Humph! Seeking death. Tianjianzi sneered. Immediately, under the shocked gazes of the other strong ones, Tianjianzi raised his right hand and flicked his finger. Boom! A terrifying sword intent gathered, turning into a palm-sized little sword, which only appeared for a moment, then vanished from its original place. At the edge of the Tianjian sect's mountain gate, Situ, extremely cautious, desperately concealed his aura, walking quickly forward. Almost. Just a little more, and I'll have left the Tianjian sect. Situ's breathing was almost imperceptible. Suddenly, a terrifying sword intent locked onto him. Not good. Situ's expression drastically changed. His speed suddenly surged in an attempt to dodge the sword intent. But it was already too late. The strike of a 10th realm champion was not something easily avoided. Swoosh! A palm-sized little sword suddenly pierced through Situ's chest. Aye! Situ's eyes widened. He could feel his life force draining away at a terrifying rate. Tiny fragments of dreadful sword intent continuously stirred through his chest, shattering his limbs and primordial spirit. I can't die. Situ's eyes were bloodshot. In a daze, he seemed to see the tall man who picked him up from a city filled with corpses over 200 years ago. Back then, the Demon Lord was in his prime, snapping his fingers and annihilating many strong ones, while he himself was in rags, lowly as dust. If not for the Demon Lord, he would have died long ago. If not for the Demon Lord, he would not have his today. In the blink of an eye, more than 200 years had passed, and everything from the past seemed like a dream. Before I meet the Lord, I cannot die. Situ suddenly erupted with a fierce will to live, and without hesitation triggered the forbidden demonic Tao technique, dismantling Burning God's skill. Once activated, the dismantling Burning God's skill would uncontrollably incinerate his physical body, primordial spirit, and everything else, until completely turning into nothingness. Meanwhile, the user would endure unimaginable pain. Of course, the effects were also very good, as during this forbidden technique, the user's speed would increase tenfold or even 100-fold. And as time passed, the more the physical body and primordial spirit burned, the faster the speed would become. In fact, almost all demon lords, preferring to die by their own hands, would not activate this forbidden technique. After all, once the dismantling burning god skill was activated, it could not be reversed, and the physical body, primordial spirit, and everything else would quickly dissolve into nothingness. That is to say, once this forbidden technique was activated, even if one escaped death initially, one was still destined to die. Before death, one would still have to endure the endless pain caused by the burning of one's own body. So, this forbidden technique was somewhat like a double-edged sword. Although widely known, it was rarely seen used by any demon lord. What's the point? At Tianjian Main Peak, Tianjian seemed to perceive something, a look of surprise crossing his face. The dismantling burning god skill? Tianjian naturally sensed the aura of this forbidden technique. After a moment of thought, Tianjian decided to let Situ the Protector leave. Firstly, once this forbidden technique had been deployed, death was inevitable, and Situ the Protector had already sustained a strike from him earlier and could hardly last much longer. Secondly, even if Tianjian wanted to pursue, it wasn't certain he could catch up. In just these few moments, Situ the Protector had already fled hundreds of miles away, his speed becoming faster and faster, nearly out of control. Even if Situ wanted to stop, he couldn't, and eventually he would turn into nothingness at high speed. Therefore, there was no need to pursue. Merely an ant. No need to pay attention. Tianjian slightly shook his head, addressing the curiosities of other powerful figures on the scene. His sudden action naturally drew the gaze of these powerful figures, and now an explanation was also appropriate. Deep inside the Tianjian sect, a beautiful valley, Bai Qing'er sat on a giant rock, her white and delicate legs gently swinging, causing ripples to spread. Big brother Xiahou, will you come to find me? Bai Qing'er's gaze was directed towards the Tianjian main peak. She naturally was aware of Tianjian's scheme, and at this moment Bai Qing'er was extremely conflicted. She hoped for Xiahou Yuan to come because it would mean that Xiahou Yuan still had feelings for her. Even if it was hatred, it was still an emotion. However, with Tianjian's scheme, if Xiahou Yuan dared to come near, he was undoubtedly doomed to die. Bai Qing'er now hoped Xiahou Yuan would not die. Big brother Xiahou, if you do come, I will plead with the sect leader to leave your whole body. Then, you would always be with Qing'er. Bai Qing'er murmured to herself, a happy smile appearing on her face. Next to the palace of Earth Spirit Spring, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, still cultivating and pursuing enlightenment, nearly all his time in each traversed world devoted to cultivation. As for enjoyment, with his against heaven's understanding, Lin Yuan was always bursting with spiritual light, making progress every moment in his cultivation and understanding of the Tao and the world. For Lin Yuan, this was the greatest pleasure. Xian Huang. Lin Yuan delved into the Xian Huang evolutionary path. By now, he had reached the 5th stage section in this evolution path. However, just for that reason, the difficulty of further comprehension skyrocketed. After all, Lin Yuan was already at the 5th rank, and comprehending the 4th and 3rd ranks below, from a higher vantage point, even without against heaven's understanding, would still be somewhat effective. Chapter 163. The Tao of Xian Huang is the Tao of heaven and earth. Lin Yuan contemplated carefully, often observing the natural world and integrating it with his own verification. The martial path evolutionary path could indeed be improved further, if Yin God, Yang Spirit, and Taiji Primordial Spirit cannot be perfected, then perfect the physical body. As Lin Yuan cultivated, the aura emanating from him became obscure and complex, as if transforming into a black hole or resembling the black and white patterns of a Taiji symbol. Suddenly, the aura around Lin Yuan surged. As if he had transcended some kind of shackles, his physical vitality and his soul and spirit both rose. 5th rank, 3rd segment. Lin Yuan breathed out gently, a smile appearing on his face. Compared to the current world's cultivation system, 5th rank, 3rd segment, would roughly equate to the 12th realm peak, infinitely close to the 13th realm. 12th realm peak, infinitely close to the 13th realm. Heaven would have pity. If the other cultivators of this world knew of this, they would probably feel ashamed enough to hit the wall. For tens of thousands of years, the strongest were merely at 10th realm. As for the 11th realm, probably only in the ancient times did such a level appear. The 12th realm was even unheard of. But Lin Yuan was already starting to touch upon the 13th realm. Wait a few more years, until I fully step into the 13th realm, then I'll flatten Tianjin sect. Lin Yuan's thoughts were calm, thinking to himself. Although he wasn't Xiahou Yuan, since his consciousness had descended into this body, some cause and effect naturally needed to be resolved. Besides, even if Lin Yuan wanted to laugh off past grudges, it would depend on whether Tianjin sect was willing. According to the intentions of the Supreme Elder from Zhigu sect, Tianjin sect and many powerhouses from the 5 domains were secretly plotting against him, Xiahou Yuan. The rules of this world. Lin Yuan looked up, observing his surroundings. Although it was not as efficient as in the divine arms world, where one could directly observe the manifested fundamental rules of divine weapons. But comprehending the rules of this world at least proved to be much stronger than the main world. The origin source of the main world is powerful, its rules well established and operating to perfection, which makes it extraordinarily difficult for evolvers to comprehend the essence of these rules. Yet in worlds that he traversed with a weaker origin source, even though the rules were not substantial, Lin Yuan could comprehend them here and then go back to slowly make up for it in the main world. I've heard that within some cosmic secret realms, independent of the main world, the operation of rules is explicitly revealed, and comprehending the rules there is far more efficient than in the outside world. As the 13th disciple of Qikuan Star Lord, Lin Yuan already had access to high-end information from the main world. This included the cosmic secret realms. Cosmic secret realms, similar to minor worlds, come in many varieties, with some even inhabited by powerful beings. Each cosmic secret realm is a treasure of human civilization, especially those with explicitly revealed rules suitable for rule comprehension, which are rare treasures indeed. In the future, I can ask the teacher about the cosmic secret realms. Lin Yuan thought to himself. As long as Lin Yuan continues to reveal his talent and capabilities, there's no fear that human civilization will not pour resources his way, such as the treatment for geniuses. With 3 goddesses present, a genius at most would only hide their identity, never suffering any repression or targeting. The next day, Lin Yuan ended his cultivation, sitting atop the main seat of the Great Hall, listening to the reports from Nuanshu and 9 demon lords. Honored one, there has been no news from Tianjin sect so far. From the 5 domains, demon chiefs are continuously coming to submit, but so far, there are no demons of the 8th realm and above pledging allegiance. Nuanshu spoke swiftly. Lin Yuan sat leisurely upon the primary seat, listening casually. As to why no demons of the 8th realm and above had come, Lin Yuan naturally understood. These demon chiefs dominated territories, claiming to be kings and warlords. Why would they come to serve under Lin Yuan? A few years ago, when Lin Yuan took over the underground palace, he subdued the Moyang demon lord and other 9 ninth realm demon lords with swift decisiveness, offering no chance for these 9 to escape. Naturally, this was also related to the fact that Lin Yuan had hardly shown himself in action in front of others since leaving the Great Abyss Ground. The only time was outside the Great Abyss Ground when he crushed Jiang Jianke, a peak 8th realm powerhouse, with one hand. But after that, whether it was subduing young generation demon chiefs like Bian Mao or the 9 demon lords like Moyang demon lord, the news did not spread out. This caused the outside world's demon chiefs to start hesitating. These wastes, the honored one is already out, and yet they do not come to pay homage. They all deserve to die. Moyang demon lord and the other 9 demon lords felt somewhat bitter, then became furious. They had already submitted, so why were those weaker 8th realm demons still roaming free? Nuanshu stood by the side, about to speak. Suddenly, Nuanshu's expression subtly changed. Honored one, there is a change in the life fire. Nuanshu looked immediately at Lin Yuan. Let's go take a look. Lin Yuan remained composed. Nuanshu quickly left the hall. Before long, Nuanshu held a candle in her hand. At this moment, the candle's flame was so weak, flickering slowly as if it might go out at any time. This is Situ's life fire. Nuan Shu's expression was grave. Situ, the protector? Moyang Demon Lord and a few other demon lords glanced at Lin Yuan from the corner of their eyes. It was well known that Nuan and Situ were the two most loyal to Xiahou Yuan. Even though Xiahou Yuan had been suppressed in the 18th layer of the Great Abyss ground, these two had done everything possible to rescue him. Especially Situ, the protector, who had even ventured into the Tianjian sect to gather more information, perhaps. It's Situ. Lin Yuan's expression became slightly solemn as he looked towards the candle in Nuan Shu's hand, the one that could go out at any time. In Lin Yuan's sight, the aura of the candle started to spread, connecting with a certain location in the distance. Situ is now within 100 miles. Lin Yuan stood up. The candle in Nuan Shu's hand flew up into the air, landing in Lin Yuan's hand. The protector Situ has returned? Nuan Shu was slightly startled, not quite understanding. As far as she knew, wasn't Situ the protector at the Tianjian sect? If he had escaped from the Tianjian sect, he would have sent a message ahead of time. He has already arrived. Lin Yuan caught the life fire and vanished on the spot. Outside the underground palace, a meteor was speeding towards the spot. If one looked carefully, they would notice that the meteor had almost faded into nothingness, with just a bit of spiritual soul force still burning. Whoosh! Lin Yuan appeared before the meteor. If it were anyone else, even peak powerhouses of the 9th or 10th realm, they would have difficulty blocking this meteor. Because the speed of this meteor had reached an extreme, surpassing the full speed run of 10th realm powerhouses. Yet with a push of Lin Yuan's right hand, the meteor came to a halt in its place. Rise! Lin Yuan's brows were tightly knotted. This meteor was none other than Situ, the protector. At this time, his physical body and flesh had long been burned to nothing, leaving only a sliver of primordial spirit force hanging on. Condense! Lin Yuan's thoughts moved ever so slightly. A vast amount of heavenly earth vital energy gathered, continuously turning into a gentle breath. It was infused into the meager remnants of Situ's primordial spirit. Instantly, around the center of this sliver of primordial spirit force, a phantom figure rapidly coalesced. However, one could see the phantom figure taking shape, only to continue burning away. Your Excellency! Situ, the protector, wore a pained expression, regaining a trace of consciousness as if he felt Lin Yuan's true strength, and his face showed a hint of relief. Suddenly, Situ's lips moved, and he spoke a few words. At this moment, Nuan Shu and Moyang Demon Lord arrived outside the underground palace and witnessed this scene. A moment later, Lin Yuan once again gathered heavenly earth vital energy. However, the burning speed of Situ, the protector, accelerated more and more rapidly. Ultimately, Situ's face displayed a look of resignation and relief, and he completely dissipated into nothingness under the endless burning. Lin Yuan stood in place, seemingly in thought, motionless. Gathering her courage, Nuan Shu stepped closer, cautiously asking, "Your Excellency, what did Situ, the protector, say at the end?" Naturally, Nuan Shu was aware that Situ, the protector's entire body burning, was the signature of the dismantling burning god skill. Wasn't it said that the use of this forbidden technique was excruciatingly painful? Why did Situ, the protector, end up smiling at the end? He said 2 sentences. Lin Yuan spoke in an even tone. The first sentence had 12 characters. In death, to have seen your Excellency, I die without regrets. Lin Yuan floated in the air, his sleeves billowing, as he reviewed Xiahou Yuan's memories, revisiting every detail about Situ, the protector. So it was that little beggar. Lin Yuan's thoughts receded as he looked up towards the Tianjian sect, then turned and went back to the underground palace. The second sentence had 8 characters, awaiting the demon lord's return to the 5 domains. Chapter 164 The Great Movements of Heaven and Earth, the Child of Destiny. The dismantling burning god skill is known as a forbidden technique. Once employed, it cannot be reversed. the physical body and primordial spirit will quickly burn out, turning into nothingness. Actually, this description isn't entirely accurate. Irreversible, that part is correct. Even Lin Yuan would find it difficult to forcibly stop it. Using heavenly earth vital energy to recreate the primordial spirit is merely a transient solution, merely prolonging the endless suffering of the caster. Thus just now, Lin Yuan allowed Situ, the protector, to burn into oblivion. But the last statement, that every aspect of the physical body and primordial spirit would burn out, is not accurate. At least after Situ, the protector, turned to nothingness, Lin Yuan had already preemptively captured a strand of pure spiritual power. In the underground palace, beside the vitality spring, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. In front of him, a strand of pure spiritual power floated. Outside this spiritual power, Taiyin and Taiyang merged into Taiji, isolating heaven and earth, completely separating this strand of pure spiritual power from the outer macrocosm. Without such a method of isolating heaven and earth, this strand of pure spiritual power would have dissipated the moment it was exposed. The current cultivators believe that the dismantling burning god skill burns everything of the physical body and primordial spirit. And that's also correct, because apart from Lin Yuan, nobody could capture this strand of pure spiritual power. Even if they were at the peak of the 12th realm, or were even unprecedented 13th realm powerhouses, they would almost certainly be unable to do it. This isn't a matter of strength. It's about how systems of cultivation and personal methods combine. Lin Yuan's martial path, evolutionary path, integrating myriad paths, is perfect in every aspect. As for other cultivators, they simply could not have the encounters and experiences of Lin Yuan, nor the against heaven's understanding to achieve integration, hence they remain at the 9th realm, 10th realm. This strand of pure spiritual power, could it be something essential like a true spirit? Lin Yuan thought to himself. For Lin Yuan, as long as the essence of the true spirit remains, he wouldn't consider it true death. How should I nurture it? Lin Yuan fell into thought. This essence of the true spirit is extremely fragile. If nurtured directly with heavenly earth vital energy, it would turn to ash in the next moment. Let's foster it in the 5-colored lotus for now. Lin Yuan's mind slightly moved, slowly integrating this essence of the true spirit into a nearby lotus, displaying 5 colors. The 5-colored lotus, a rare spiritual plant of this realm. When Lin Yuan discovered this vitality spring, there were more than a dozen extraordinary flowers and herbs nearby, including the 5-colored lotus. When Lin Yuan advanced to the 5th rank, he consumed most of these extraordinary flowers and herbs, with only a few like the 5-colored lotus remaining. The 5-colored lotus has a mild nature and is miraculous in nurturing spirits. It is perfectly suitable for fostering the extremely fragile essence of the true spirit. Accompanied by the essence of the true spirit of Situ, the protector, merging into the 5-colored lotus, Lin Yuan distinctly felt the essence of the true spirit stabilized, and immediately began to slowly draw on the medicinal power of the 5-colored lotus, gradually growing stronger. Good. After nurturing it for a few years, this strand of true spirit essence should recover to the strength of a normal person. Lin Yuan slightly nodded. Once it reached that stage, the consciousness of Situ, the protector, would naturally revive. The rest was merely about finding a suitable body for him. Well, Lin Yuan looked at the 5-colored lotus in front of him. Indeed, no need to search for a body. Isn't this 5-colored lotus the best carrier right now? Lin Yuan's face showed a hint of unusual color. With the vision of the main world universe starry sky, Lin Yuan understood that life is definitely not limited to the human race. In the vast, boundless main world universe starry skies, aside from the human race, many other powerful peak races exist. They might be plant life, elemental life, energy life, etc. Given that this 5-colored lotus, if Situ, the protector, could embrace all aspects of the 5-colored lotus, it would definitely be a great opportunity. Not to mention, life forms like these plants are famous for their longevity. Of course, even if Situ, the protector, couldn't accept it, it wouldn't be a problem with Lin Yuan around, it would merely be about finding another suitable body. Time slowly passed. Before long, several years had elapsed. Lin Yuan had hardly ever left the underground palace, always immersed in cultivation and enlightenment. Heaven and earth. Lin Yuan appeared thoughtful, feeling faintly that this realm's heaven and earth were extremely vast, seemingly not just limited to the 5 domains. Could it be, beyond the 5 domains, there are new great realms and continents? Lin Yuan pondered. Before his transition, he had split a thread of his consciousness to roughly observe the overall view of this realm, catching only a fleeting glimpse without paying much attention, only seeing the most conspicuous 5 continents. However, the fortunes of this heavenly and earthly realm are clearly beginning to burgeon. Is it due to my influence? Lin Yuan's thoughts shifted. The so-called fortunes of heaven and earth are profound and more profound. Lin Yuan had crossed 3 or 4 worlds before he somewhat understood this. To summarize, it can be said that when time and tide are right, all forces align. In a state where the fortunes of heaven and earth are burgeoning, the frequency of geniuses and powerhouses emerging would be much higher. Even the bottlenecks and constraints in cultivation would relax and loosen without a sound. Generally speaking, it's rare for a realm to be in such a state. It might not happen even once in tens of thousands of years. Lin Yuan seemed to have discovered something, looking up towards a not too distant place. There was a lotus displaying 5 colors, currently swaying gently. Is the consciousness reviving? Lin Yuan had an idea, having nurtured it for several years. The essence of the true spirit of Situ, the protector, had grown rapidly and was now on the brink of consciousness revival. I'll have a look. Lin Yuan stood before the 5-colored lotus, observing carefully. I didn't die? Situ Ming was somewhat dazed, having prepared for death after deploying the dismantling burning god skill. Chapter 165. Situ Ming only hoped, before death, he could meet the esteemed one, and inform him of the Tianjian sect's plans. But unfortunately, with the continual use of the dismantling burning god skill, Situ Ming's speed became faster and faster, and in the end, he not only had to endure endless pain, but he couldn't even stop. However, just when Situ Ming was in utter despair, he saw the esteemed one appear before him, and even made an attempt to save him. It was at that moment, Situ Ming vaguely perceived the esteemed one's terrifying strength, an aura so vast that even Tianjian Zi, who had already stepped into the 10th realm, was far inferior. Situ Ming died with no regrets. But now, Situ Ming attempted to perceive his surroundings. To his surprise, he found that he was now a lotus. A lotus that displayed 5 colors. Esteemed one. Situ Ming's perception continued to spread out. He discovered a tall man appearing before him. And this tall man was none other than his esteemed one. There's no need to worry. Right now, your soul and primordial spirit are nourished within the 5-colored lotus. Try your best to merge with the 5-colored lotus and take control of everything about it. Lin Yuan spoke, his voice gentle. Becoming the main consciousness of the 5-colored lotus was not an easy task. Even if a strong person from this world were to escape with their primordial spirit and seek a new host, they usually chose another member of the human race. As for using a certain plant as a host, not to mention whether it was possible, even if it succeeded, what would one do afterward? Simply become a plant? Yet Lin Yuan was different. In the main world, he had a complete series of secret techniques, namely the seizure secret technique. The Chikuan Star Lord of the past had seized a juvenile starry sky wanderer Kuan, which led to his later valiant achievements. Yes! Situ Ming had a natural submission to Lin Yuan and immediately began trying to merge with the 5-colored lotus, replacing its main consciousness. Good! Seeing this, Lin Yuan nodded slightly. His aid to Situ Ming was actually a kind of test. Moreover, if Situ Ming truly could become the master of the 5-colored lotus, his lifespan would at least explode to several thousand or even tens of thousands of years. It would also count as Lin Yuan's contingency in this world. Tianjian Mountain. Tianjian Zi and many strong ones were becoming increasingly irritable. What's going on with Xiahou Yuan? Is he coming for revenge or not? Why has there been no movement for so many years? Even if he was seriously injured from being suppressed in the 18th layer of the Great Abyss ground, but it's been more than a decade. Hasn't he recovered? Aren't demonic practitioners best at healing injuries? Can't they just kill some people, extract their essence and origin source, and be done with it? What exactly is going on? Could it be that Xiahou Yuan knows I've had a breakthrough, so he dares not come? Tianjianzi was reflecting. He realized that for all these years, he had been sitting on Tianjian Mountain, like a fool. It wasn't just him. Even the others of the 5 domains were also waiting together. That shouldn't be it? For over a decade, I have blockaded the Tianjian sect. It was only a few years ago that the little demon went out. But after getting hit by my attack, plus activating the dismantling burning god skill, he could only keep flying, getting faster and faster, until he eventually dissipated into nothing, unable to stop at all. How could he have passed on any messages? Tianjianzi was puzzled. But at this point, all he could do was to continue waiting. After waiting for more than a decade, if he stopped now, wouldn't it mean that they were mistaken all these years? How could that be? Do not panic, everyone. I believe Xiahou Yuan will come soon. We just need to endure a little longer. Tianjianzi spoke, encouraging the many impatient strong ones present. Meanwhile, as the majority of the strong ones in the 5 domains were still stuck on Tianjian Mountain, hoping to catch their prey and waiting for Xiahou Yuan to come for revenge, they were unaware that subtle changes were starting to occur in the world. Within a bustling city, a small beggar looked at a middle-aged man selling books, eagerly staring at a tattered booklet on the shelf. Scram, scram, scram. Where did this little beggar come from? The book-selling middle-aged man waved his hand, his face full of disgust. I want that book. The small beggar mustered the courage to approach, pointing at the tattered book on the shelf. 10 copper coins, do you have it? The middle-aged man said, annoyed. 10 copper coins? I don't have. The small beggar shrunk back a little. But I have 2 copper coins. The small beggar's right hand fumbled in his pocket and brought out 2 copper coins. You actually have money? The middle-aged man was taken aback slightly. He immediately picked up the worn-out booklet and tossed it to the little beggar. I'm in a good mood today, so I'm selling it to you at a discount. In fact, he had fished out these booklets from a bookstore that was about to close, for just a few pennies each. The little beggar couldn't produce 2 pennies, let alone 1, but he would have sold it to him anyway. Thank you. The little beggar hugged the tattered booklet to his chest, placed the 2 pennies on the bookshelf, and hopped away. Idiot. The middle-aged man watched the little beggar's retreating figure with a hint of mockery. An old temple. The little beggar studied the booklet intently. Refining spirit decree? The little beggar mimicked the movements of the little figures illustrated in the booklet. Unbeknownst to him, heavenly earth vital energy slowly began to converge. It slowly merged into the little beggar's body. In just one day, the little beggar had stepped into the first realm. At a cliff's edge, a young man was being chased by dozens of men in black. Even if I die, I will become a ghost and come back for revenge. Filled with deep resentment, the young man leaped off the cliff. He didn't know how much time had passed. The young man woke from unconsciousness. Where is this? The young man found himself stopped by a tree trunk growing at the edge of the precipice. Not far away, on the nearly smooth cliff face, there appeared a pitch-dark hole that was clearly man-made. Assessing his situation, the young man realized that his only hope of survival was to enter that hole. So he struggled toward the cave entrance. Good for nothing. Where is the talent you showed 3 years ago? For 3 whole years, not being able to sense the heavenly earth vital energy to form a primordial chi vortex inside your body, do you still have the face to continue using the clan's cultivation resources? An old man with a white beard was scolding a young boy. The boy hung his head, grinding his teeth. Unnoticed by others, a faint glimmer suddenly flashed across the black ring on his right hand. As the great tides of heaven and earth surge forth, countless opportunities will arise, and many talents will emerge. Among them, the strongest talents can be called children of fate. Within the underground palace, though Lin Yuan had not gone out, he vaguely sensed the changes in the world. Such changes were profound, and even Lin Yuan felt shocked and amazed. Just then, not far away, the five-colored lotus suddenly withered. Underground, the lotus root of the five-colored lotus was taking shape indistinctly. A humanoid figure emerged from the ground. Composed entirely of lotus root, the figure came out and immediately knelt down, saying reverently to Lin Yuan, "Situ Ming, pays respects to my lord. Get up." Lin Yuan thought for a moment. He lifted his right hand, and a slight wound appeared. Then, a drop of blood that looked like mercury, vibrant red, fell onto Situ Ming's lotus root body. Suddenly, the blood dispersed and dissolved. Situ Ming's lotus root form began to change rapidly. Flesh, skin, limbs, and facial features grew. Not long after, a child of about 10 years old appeared. This, Situ Ming's eyes widened. Just the ability to escape from the five-colored lotus and crawl from underground had already made him overjoyed. But now, with just a drop of blood bestowed casually by his lord, he had transformed into a real human being? Such means? Were they any different from the divine powers in the myths of gods creating humans? "Thank you, my lord." Situ Ming knelt once again, expressing his gratitude. "It's nothing." Lin Yuan waved his hand and observed the changes in Situ Ming. He then continued, "You may enter the world now. With the great movements of heaven and earth, opportunities are countless. Go and find one that belongs to you." "Understood, my lord." Situ Ming promptly responded. He always executed his lord's suggestions to the letter. Before leaving, Situ Ming seemed to remember something and asked hesitantly, "Should I bring back those opportunities, my lord?" "No need." Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. With a profound look, he said, "I no longer need those opportunities." Chapter 166 Go, Flatten Tianjian Mountain. Lin Yuan watched as Situ Ming left. He had reshaped Situ Ming's body with his own essence blood. There was another effect, too. That was to inscribe his own brand. The hearts of men are fickle. Even the most loyal of subordinates. 100 years, 200 years, their loyalty can be ensured. 300 years, 500 years, loyalty can still be ensured. But what about 800 years, 1,000 years? What about when Lin Yuan's time is up and he has to leave this world? Will Situ Ming still be able to maintain his absolute loyalty to him? Situ Ming, now formed after the five-color lotus transformation, could easily live for thousands and tens of thousands of years. Over the long years, anything can change. But by inscribing his brand with his essence blood, Lin Yuan eliminated any other possibility. Situ Ming's primordial spirit and body, having been fashioned by Lin Yuan, no longer have the capability to harbor any other thoughts. Continue cultivating. Lin Yuan closed his eyes and resumed his Tao enlightenment. Time slowly passed. 20 years later. In these 20 years, the world had changed more than it had in the previous 200 years, or even 2,000 years. One genius after another emerged, and heritages that had disappeared from history resurfaced. The great powers of the five domains underwent several major reshuffles. Of course, the Tianjian sect, with Tianjianzi from the 10th realm as its pillar, still overlooked the world from above, its status unshaken. However, more than 10 years ago, after the forces of the five domains, including Tianjianzi, realized they couldn't anticipate Xiahou Yuan's return, they could only go back to their respective homes and no longer wait in vain on Tianjian Mountain. There was no other way. If it were another time, they might have persevered a little longer. But now, with the world growing more volatile by the day, with powerful figures continuously emerging, these old-timers, would probably have their foundations uprooted if they did not make a comeback soon. Tianjianzi had no solution to this. He could only speculate that something unpredictable had happened to Xiahou Yuan. Perhaps Xiahou Yuan had realized that he had entered the 10th realm and defiantly refused to come over at all. Underneath the underground palace, next to a vein of fire. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, his body radiating intense heat. 20 years of cultivation had naturally brought him to an entirely new level. Lin Yuan's strength now could be described as approximately comparable to the 14th realm of this world. He was indeed unprecedented and unrepeatable. Even the concept of the 14th realm was created by Lin Yuan because, before him, no being had ever ventured into this domain. For tens of thousands of years, the mightiest being in this realm had been of the 10th realm. Maybe 50,000 years ago or 100,000 years ago, there were beings beyond the 10th realm, but at most they reached only the 11th realm. As for the 14th realm, what a joke. It's almost time. Lin Yuan took a deep breath, his resounding breath causing even the nearby vein of fire to tremble. Huff! Lin Yuan exhaled, the scorching breath breaking through layers of soil, traveling dozens of miles, and striking an underground stratum. The layer burst into dust with a bang, and the terrifying fluctuations spread in all directions, causing tremors on the surface above. Now Lin Yuan opened his eyes, his emanating aura swiftly retracting, and within a few breaths, he seemed no different from an ordinary person. Tianjian sect. Lin Yuan slightly raised his head, looking in the direction of the Tianjian sect. Go and extinguish the Tianjian sect. Lin Yuan's thoughts slightly stirred. An indistinct figure, emanating with the power of Tai Yin, emerged from within the sea of consciousness at his brow. The figure bowed slightly toward Lin Yuan and then stepped out, effortlessly passing through the thick soil to the surface above and immediately vanished. This figure was none other than Lin Yuan's Yin God, also known as the Tai Yin primordial spirit. Actually, had it not been for Lin Yuan's discovery that the vast current of heaven and earth had surged forth 20 years ago, he probably would have already flattened the Tianjian sect right after stepping into the 13th realm 18 years prior. But now was not too late. No matter how vigorously the vast current of heaven and earth surged, it had its limits. The ceiling of this realm remained fixed, and no matter how much nurturing occurred, it couldn't produce supreme powerhouses like those from the main world. With Lin Yuan's current 14th realm strength, he was more than capable of sweeping through everything, even if it was only a Yin god. More than 20 years ago, Lin Yuan's own Taiji primordial spirit had divided into the Yin and Yang spirits. At that time, if the Yin and Yang spirits exerted their full power, they could grow to hundreds of feet tall. Now, after more than 20 years, the Yin and Yang spirits had grown more than 10 times stronger than before. Tianjian Mountain. On this day, the Tianjian sect was in celebration, bustling with activity. Guests came and went without end, because today was the 800th birthday of Tianjianzi. As the strongest of his time, and the only one from the 10th realm, Tianjianzi's birthday was naturally a grand affair. Many forces from the 5 domains and numerous powerful individuals wouldn't dare miss it. Even those unruly, adventure-laden younger generations mostly came in a subdued manner. In front of this senior 10th realm powerhouse, no one dared to act recklessly. At the top of Tianjian Mountain, Tianjianzi sat high in the principal seat. Looking at the many guests below, he was in high spirits. For a 10th realm powerhouse, 800 years was just a minor part of life. A 10th realm being had a lifespan of 2,000 years. Congratulations to Tianjianzi, Senior, for a life as vast as the East Sea. A middle-aged man strode forward, bowing slightly to Tianjianzi. This middle-aged man was a 9th realm powerhouse, yet he remained slightly respectful in the presence of Tianjianzi, who had reached the 10th realm. Tianjianzi nodded slightly, indicating he had acknowledged the gesture. He would react only when powerhouses of the 9th realm rose to congratulate him. As for those below the 9th realm, he would merely acknowledge them with a glance. These few decades have seen the number of 9th realm individuals skyrocket several times over. Tianjianzi looked around, silently reflecting. As the sect leader of the world's most powerful sect, Tianjianzi was naturally aware of the changes within the 5 domains. But to cultivate a 10th realm, it will still take tens or 100 years. Chapter 167. At that time perhaps A hint of longing flickered across Tianjianzi's expression. In another 100 or 200 years, he hoped to cultivate to the peak of the 10th realm. By then, he might even be able to attempt reaching the 11th realm, something that had only been achieved 50,000 years ago. Of course, thinking about this now was still premature. At present, Tianjianzi was far from reaching the perfection of the 10th realm, let alone the 11th realm. As Tianjianzi pondered, a veteran powerhouse below spoke out loudly. Sect leader Tianjianzi's divine might is unparalleled. 20 years ago, Xiahou Yuan was so terrified that he didn't dare to seek revenge and would rather die than come here. As soon as this was said, it immediately sparked a chorus of agreement. Although only 20 years had passed, with the explosive increase of powerhouses from the 9th realm, everyone's fear of Xiahou Yuan had also invisibly diminished a lot. After all, in this era, strong warriors emerge in large numbers, especially those most dazzling ones who have nearly reached the peak of the 9th realm, hardly weaker than Xiahou Yuan back then. If Xiahou Yuan dared to appear again now, it's estimated that he would be swept away by the younger generation of warriors. In today's 5 domains mainland, a new era had arrived, and except for the Tianjian sect, which could maintain its status, all other forces were trembling with fear, dreading that they might be eliminated one day. Xiahou Yuan? Tianjianzi was slightly startled. Had no one mentioned that name, he would have almost forgotten it. A miserable dog. Better left unmentioned. Tianjianzi shook his head slightly. The young generation of powerhouses were now his focus. As for Xiahou Yuan, he wasn't even worth another glance now. Exactly. What is Xiahou Yuan anyway? Does he even deserve a mention at sect leader Tianjianzi's birthday feast? I heard that one of the younger generation outside has a close relationship with Xiahou Yuan. So what if they are close? Even Xiahou Yuan was defeated by sect leader Tianjianzi. What waves can they possibly make? Many guests discussed noisily, expressing their deep scorn for Xiahou Yuan. Beside Tianjianzi, Big Brother Xiahou, by Qing'er, wearing a white dress, her delicate wrist supporting her chin. After all these years, won't you even look at Qing'er? Hundreds of miles away from Tianjian Mountain, within a secluded forest, Situ Ming gazed distantly at Tianjian Mountain, his expression tinged with gloom. Tianjianzi, if it weren't for the prime god's reluctance to bother, would you still be alive? Situ Ming thought to himself. 20 years ago, Lin Yuan allowed him to enter the world. With the terrifying talent of the 5-colored lotus, Situ Ming broke through to the 9th realm in just over a decade, becoming one of the most dazzling figures among the young generation. Of course, the reason Situ Ming had ascended to the 9th realm so swiftly was entirely because he had been an 8th realm powerhouse before becoming the 5-colored lotus. Even though he had to start over with his physical and primordial spirit after becoming the 5-colored lotus, his foundational depth was still there, quickly restoring him to the power of the 8th realm, and a subsequent ascent to the 9th realm was only natural. One day, even if the prime god does not take action, I will also trample you, Tianjianzi, underfoot. Situ Ming took a deep look at Tianjian Mountain miles away, intending to leave. As of now, he was still far from being a match for Tianjianzi of the 10th realm. Suddenly, at that moment, Situ Ming's expression subtly changed. He looked in a certain direction. He saw a person strolling leisurely from afar. Although described as leisurely, his pace was extremely fast, covering hundreds of yards in just a few steps. This man had ordinary features, but each of his movements exuded an unusual charisma, especially his fiery red eyes, which emitted a scorching sensation. Xiao Hua. Upon seeing this man, Situ Ming's mind immediately made a connection to someone. Xiao Hua, currently a leader among the young generation of the 5 domains mainland, with the strength at the peak of the 9th realm. It was said that Xiao Hua showed extraordinary talent in his early teens, but later, over 3 years, his abilities all seemed to vanish, leading to his suppression by his family, eventually leaving the family in indignation. In the following 20 years, like having a breakthrough boost, Xiao Hua rapidly grew stronger, breaking through the 9 realms, ultimately standing at the peak of the 9th realm. Situ Ming. Xiao Hua looked calm, smiling at Situ Ming. I heard you have quite a substantial connection with the formidable villain Xiahou Yuan from decades ago. Seeing Situ Ming show a wary expression, Xiao Hua shook his head slightly. Don't worry, I have no interest and no hostility towards Xiahou Yuan. There was something Xiao Hua left unsaid. And that was he had never regarded Xiahou Yuan highly. In Xiao Hua's eyes, his opponent had always been just one person. That was Tianjianzi of the 10th realm. Xiahou Yuan has a great feud with Tianjianzi, and coincidentally, our visit this time is also to deal with Tianjianzi. In a sense, you are still our friend, Xiao Hua said with a smile. We. Situ Ming's gaze slightly condensed. Exactly. Xiao Hua paused for a moment, then raised his voice. You two, won't you show yourselves? As soon as he finished speaking, two profound auras silently appeared within Situ Ming's sensory range. Situ Ming looked up. To his left was a female figure, her physique robust, wonderful mental fluctuations almost led Situ Ming to be entranced. Yang Bixin. A shock crossed Situ Ming's mind. Yang Bixin also a young generation leader with peak 9th realm capabilities. Yang Bixin had a pitiful background, a beggar in her youth, but somehow she obtained a refining spirit decree, which was perfectly suited for her training. Afterward, Yang Bixin soared, ascending directly to the peak of the 9th realm. Ha ha ha! Since Brother Xiao has spoken, how could I, Shen Lang, stay hidden? A loud laugh came, and a figure strode forward, his hair wildly dancing, like a majestic lion. Shen Lang. Situ Ming was already prepared in his heart. Shen Lang. Also a name among the young generation leaders, alongside Xiao Hua and Yang Bixin. Unlike the previous two, Shen Lang had a distinguished family background, but at the age of 20, his enemies had come to kill him. In a desperate situation, Shen Lang had no choice but to leap off a cliff. However, Shen Lang did not die from the fall but rather received a heritage from a suspected 11th realm powerhouse from 50,000 years ago. You three. Situ Ming looked at the trio. Xiao Hua, Yang Bixin, Shen Lang. The most dazzling trio of the young generation on the 5 domains mainland. They could even suppress the vast majority of the older generation at the 9th realm. We are here to challenge Tianjianzi to step into the 10th realm. Xiao Hua spoke gently, yet emitted a strong intent to fight. With the capabilities of the three, only the high and mighty 10th realm could exert pressure on them, and with this pressure they hoped to advance further, stepping into the 10th realm. Situ Ming, do you wish to join us? Xiao Hua extended the invitation. Xiahou Yuan was once suppressed by Tianjianzi. Such humiliation. Let us avenge it for him, Shen Lang said slowly next to him. His gaze was fixed on Tianjian Mountain hundreds of miles away, unwavering. It is said that Bai Qing'er of the Tianjian sect is the most beautiful woman under heaven, who once dazzled Xiahou Yuan so much that he lost his senses. I'm quite curious to see what kind of beauty she is. Yang Bixin touched her hair, speaking softly. You. Situ Ming took a deep breath. He realized that these three had never taken him, nor his master, seriously. The so-called revenge was just casual talk. Even without the master, these three would still challenge Tianjianzi. The master's vengeance should naturally be avenged by me, Situ Ming said in a cold tone. Hee. Xiao Hua was about to speak. Just at that moment, Shen Lang, who had been standing beside them, his gaze fixed on Tianjian Mountain without a flicker, suddenly stiffened. His body's aura began to uncontrollably surge. What's happening? Xiao Hua furrowed his brows, and alongside Yang Bixin, followed Shen Lang's gaze. But with just one look, they witnessed a scene they would never forget. In the high skies above Tianjian Mountain, a sea of clouds tens of thousands of miles wide churned and hung low. A towering figure, over 100,000 feet tall, stood silently in front of Tianjian Mountain. Tianjian Mountain, a famed peak in the central region, also spanned dozens of miles high, usually shrouded in mist, resembling an immortal realm. However, at that moment before the towering figure, even the lofty Tianjian Mountain merely reached his ankles. The next moment, under the shocked gazes of Xiao Hua, Yang Bixin, and Shen Lang. The towering figure slowly lifted his right foot towards Tianjian Mountain. Then, he stepped down. Chapter 168. The 100,000 Zhong-yin God. Tianjian Mountain Peak. Seated high above, Tianjianzi overlooked the many guests with an indifferent expression. As the protagonist of the birthday banquet, Tianjianzi was undoubtedly the most watched person there. Those three little ones, they should be arriving soon, right? A hint of coldness flickered across Tianjianzi's face. As the master of the world's foremost power, how could Tianjianzi not know that the three most dazzling youths of the 5 domains were sharpening their claws, eager to step over him and ascend to the divine throne? This was not because Tianjianzi bore a grudge against them. For decades, Tianjian sect had not oppressed the younger generation. In fact, they couldn't even if they wanted to. It's just that Tianjianzi had been oppressing the strong of the 5 domains for too long, and the 3 leaders of the younger generation wanted to break his myth. By harnessing the pressure from Tianjianzi, they aimed to carve their own paths. Foolish. Today, I shall let you understand what the 10th realm is. Tianjianzi thought to himself. If given enough time, Tianjianzi did not deny that the 3 had the potential to step into the 10th realm. But now, mere 9th realm practitioners, how could they challenge Tianjianzi? This time, I must not hold back. Once these 3 are dealt with, the younger generation of the 5 domains will be greatly weakened, and they won't threaten Tianjian's sect for the next 100 or even hundreds of years. With that, I can also set out to that place with peace of mind. Tianjianzi's thoughts surged as his gaze faintly turned in a certain direction. That was the north. North of the northern region, north of the endless sea domain. After stepping into the 10th realm, Tianjianzi vaguely sensed a calling. A summons from the heavens and earth, constantly drawing him northward. The 2 predecessors from Tianjian sect who were in the 10th realm had also experienced this. After those 2 10th realm predecessors from Tianjian sect heeded the call and headed north of the endless sea domain, they never returned. Thus, after entering the 10th realm, Tianjianzi had been suppressing this call. Only in recent years had the summons grown stronger, and Tianjianzi was vaguely aware that if he continued to delay, a great terror might ensue. Luan Yi, when will you reach the peak of the 9th realm? Tianjianzi's gaze shifted slightly, landing on Bai Qing'er. Bai Qing'er, originally named Luan Yi, was rumored to be Tianjianzi's childhood sweetheart. In truth, Luan Yi was just Tianjianzi's sister. However, ever since the incident with Xiahou Yuan, Luan Yi had taken Bai Qing'er as her actual name. Soon, Luan Yi answered nonchalantly. Once you reach the peak of the 9th realm, I will help you step into the 10th realm with all my strength, said Tianjianzi. When will the sect leader come out of seclusion and capture Xiahou Yuan for me? Luan Yi suddenly asked. Xiahou Yuan? Tianjianzi's brow furrowed. He had long since stopped concerning himself with Xiahou Yuan. However, seeing Luan Yi like this, it was clear she had been left with a heart demon because of that incident. Enough! Tianjianzi sighed inwardly. Even as a 10th realm practitioner, if Xiahou Yuan was determined to hide somewhere, there was not much he could do. But after decades of cultivation, Tianjianzi had delved deep into the 10th realm and had even comprehended several secret techniques left by his 10th realm predecessors. If he paid a certain price, it was still possible to locate Xiahou Yuan. After the birthday banquet, I will bring back Xiahou Yuan. However, you must promise me the thing you promised. Tianjianzi spoke in a calm tone, as if he were retrieving not the legendary fiend who once oppressed the 5 domains but rather a stray cat or dog. Thank you, sect leader, Bai Qing'er said, immediately smiling with joy at the words. At that moment, she had already begun to envision the various scenes that would unfold once Xiahou Yuan fell into her hands. Suddenly, at that moment, the numerous strong practitioners gathered at the peak of Tianjian Mountain, celebrating for Tianjianzi, suddenly realized that the sky seemed to darken. The originally sunny and mist-enshrouded peak of Tianjian Mountain became gloomy all at once. What is that? A strong practitioner looked up at the sky. they saw a continent-sized massive shadow falling rapidly toward Tianjin Mountain. Not good. Run quickly. What is this thing? Even though the strong practitioners did not know why the continent shadow had appeared here, they realized that staying would definitely not bode well. So they frantically fled in all directions. As long as they could escape the coverage range of the continent shadow, they should be safe. Unfortunately, it was too late. The continent shadow descended too quickly, and the boundless power of Taiyin spread, turning into a terrifying pressure, restricting all the strong practitioners' speeds. Boom! Tianjianzi soared into the sky. The breath of a 10th realm practitioner burst forth unrestrained, shaking the heavens and the earth. Others could run, but Tianjianzi could not, for beneath his feet lay Tianjin Mountain, the core land of Tianjin sect. If he were to flee and cause any accident to Tianjin Mountain, wouldn't he be the sinner of Tianjin sect for tens of thousands of years? Most importantly, Tianjianzi had a vague feeling that even if he wanted to run, he could not. Surrounded by the formless and profound power of Taiyin, even though Tianjianzi was a 10th realm practitioner, his speed was greatly reduced, and there was no hope of escaping before the continent shadow descended. Stop! Tianjianzi's eyes turned blood red, and his aura surged once more, towering like a divine being, attempting to hold back the descending continent shadow. However, bang! Tianjianzi exploded abruptly. The continent shadow did not stop even for a moment, continuing to press down on Tianjin Mountain. Rumble, rumble. With the continent shadow's relentless descent, Tianjin Mountain began to collapse. One after another, the strong practitioners burst apart, their flesh and primordial spirits shattering into fragments that fell. Chapter 169. During this time, there were strong beings who realized they couldn't escape and chose instead to stand their ground and resist furiously. However, it was meaningless. They were continuously blasted apart. In just a few breaths' time, the towering Tianjin Mountain had been flattened. All that was left in its place was a giant pit reaching dozens of miles deep. If one were to look from thousands of miles away, they would find that this massive pit resembled a footprint, but magnified by billions of times. The auras of countless primordial spirits turned into streaks of light, racing in all directions. The thick scent of blood spread. That single step had shattered the physical bodies of countless strong beings. Having lost their physical forms, the primordial spirits were still there. Even though they were severely damaged, many of the strong beings' primordial spirits had not completely collapsed. Now grasping the opportunity, they naturally fled as if mad. It was at this moment. Above the sea, miles away, another vast shadow reached down. If one observed carefully, they would discover that this huge shadow resembled a human face with blurred features, impossible to make out in detail. One could see this face turning towards the direction of the huge footprint, opening its massive mouth and taking a deep inhale. Boom! In the face of the terrifying suction, be it primordial spirits or the dispersing blood and energy, all of it turned into long dragons, flowing into the mouth of that immense face. Hundreds of miles away, in a dense forest, Xiaohua, Xinlang, and Yang Bixin, three widely admired young leaders full of hope, were now pale and stiff. Gazing up at Tianjin Mountain, it had been flattened under the step of that towering figure, and the countless strong beings on the mountain, including Tianjianzi of the 10th realm, had their physical bodies and primordial spirits crushed, only to be swallowed by that towering figure in one gulp. The minds of Xiaohua and the others turned to mush. Especially Xinlang, who had received the heritage of an 11th realm powerhouse from 50,000 years ago. But even 50,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, or even more distant times, there had never been such a horrifying scene, had there? This is a primordial spirit. Xiaohua touched the ring on his right hand, barely suppressing the shock in his heart, and said in a low voice, "Primordial spirit? That towering figure is a primordial spirit?" Xinlang and Yang Bixin took deep breaths once more. Even the primordial spirit of a 5th-rank peak powerhouse of the 9th realm, when exerting all its might, would at most be 100 zhang tall. The primordial spirit of a 10th realm powerhouse might possibly reach several hundred zhang. But just now, that towering figure was at least 100,000 zhang tall. If such a massive primordial spirit existed, how powerful must its owner be? The 12th realm? The 13th realm? Xiao Hua and the others couldn't believe it. Even with countless fortuitous encounters, they only ever thought they could step into the 10th realm. Xin Lang, with the heritage of someone from the 11th realm, might have a slim hope of reaching the 11th realm. As for higher, they dared not think of it. They wouldn't think of it, because that was completely beyond reality. This is the Venerable One. This is the Venerable One's Taiyin primordial spirit, said Situ Ming. Compared to the shock and terror of Xiao Hua and the others, Situ Ming, who had been the five-colored lotus, had spent a long time with Lin Yuan and was quite familiar with his aura. The current towering figure might reach from heaven to earth, flattening Tianjian Mountain with a single step, its divine might dominating the world. But the faint aura it emitted was similar to that which Situ Ming had sensed from the Venerable One. The Venerable One? You're saying that this primordial spirit belongs to Demon Venerable Xiahou Yuan? Xiao Hua and the others exchanged glances, unable to imagine that Xiahou Yuan, who had long withdrawn from the stage of the five domains, had cultivated to such a realm where just one primordial spirit could sustain heaven and earth. It was simply inconceivable. Of course, said Situ Ming. I can still recognize the Venerable One's aura. In his heart, Situ Ming was equally shocked. He had thought Lin Yuan was very powerful. When he had used the dismantling burning god skill in the past, certain death was inevitable, but he was forcefully saved. And during that time, Situ Ming vaguely sensed the vast aura from Lin Yuan. But Situ Ming never thought that Lin Yuan could be so powerful, deploying just one primordial spirit to annihilate Tianjian Mountain. Here, annihilate didn't mean in a symbolic sense, like sweeping through the many strong beings of the Tianjian sect and crushing Tianjianzi. It meant physically annihilating it. The entire Tianjian Mountain had been leveled to the ground. Xiahou Yuan, Xiao Hua and the other two carefully pondered. They realized that throughout the five domains mainland, to bear such deep hatred for the Tianjian sect as to directly trample its gates, Xiahou Yuan was definitely one of them. Moreover, Xiao Hua and the others didn't believe that Situ Ming had the courage to let his respected superior impersonate such a powerhouse. Should it be discovered by him, the entire demonic Tao would be trampled flat just like Tianjian Mountain. As Xiao Hua and the other two whispered among themselves. Far away, hundreds of miles distant, that towering figure over 100,000 zhang tall, after swallowing the essence and blood of numerous powerhouses' primordial spirits, slightly turned its massive head, casting a gaze towards the dense forest here. Boom! It was merely a glance. Yet it brought Xiao Hua and the other two an unprecedented pressure. It felt as if the heavens and earth were collapsing, as if all things were being annihilated. No! Xiao Hua, Xin Lang, and Yang Bixin instinctively knelt on the ground, not daring to continue gazing at that towering figure. Although they were separated by hundreds of miles, Xiao Hua and the others knew that to that towering figure, a few hundred miles was merely a few steps. Interesting. The Taiyin primordial spirit seemed to have discovered something. Its form suddenly dispersed, turning into countless particles of Taiyin power, disappearing from the spot. It wasn't until half an hour after the Taiyin primordial spirit had left that Xiao Hua, Xin Lang, and Yang Bixin dared to lift their heads. Only after confirming that the towering figure had disappeared did the three of them breathe a heavy sigh of relief. What should we do now? After a long while, the softly spoken Yang Bixin asked in a low voice. Upon hearing this, Xiao Hua and Xin Lang immediately fell into silence. Originally, according to their plan, they were to challenge powerhouses everywhere to pave their own road to the 10th realm. As the number one powerhouse in the five domains, Tianjianzi was naturally their target. But now that Tianjianzi was dead, a challenge was no longer possible. In fact, although Tianjianzi had died, a far more formidable existence than Tianjianzi had appeared. That was the demon lord Xiahou Yuan, mentioned by Situ Ming. And challenging the demon lord Xiahou Yuan. Challenge my ass. Forget about the demon lord Xiahou Yuan himself, even one of his primordial spirits, to be precise, a glance from one of his primordial spirits. The three of them felt as if the world was collapsing, unbearable. A challenge? Xiao Hua and the others may have grand ambitions, but they were not fools. They knew better than to leap forward into certain death. The reason they had dared to challenge Tianjianzi earlier was that they had the assurance they could save their own lives. Even if they failed, they could withdraw in one piece. But facing the demon lord Xiahou Yuan, Xiao Hua, Xin Lang, and Yang Bixin looked at each other. Suddenly, everything seemed tasteless. They had been full of confidence in their cultivation, believing that with their own efforts, they could surpass anyone. Yet, after merely witnessing that towering figure before, their state of mind began to crumble subtly. What was the use of further cultivation? Wouldn't it be trivial for that towering figure with just a step? Even a step wouldn't be necessary. A mere glance, or perhaps a sliver of killing intent. Below the underground palace, Lin Yuan was sitting cross-legged. Streams of Taiyin power converged. The Taiyin primordial spirit appeared before Lin Yuan. Finished? Lin Yuan casually asked. In fact, as the main body, he shared a viewpoint with the Yin spirit and Yang spirit. To be precise, one consciousness divided into three, the Taiyin primordial spirit trampling down Tianjian mountains, each and every detail, as clear as the pattern on one's palm if Lin Yuan wished to see it. The question finished? He just asked was nothing more than a casual inquiry. The 100,000 zhang Yin god. Lin Yuan's gaze was serene. No matter which world it was in, 100,000 zhang was considered a colossal size. If converted to another unit, with 1 zhang equaling 3.3 meters, 100,000 zhang would be 330,000 meters. That is 600 miles. Even in the main world, such a massive body would be considered a fifth-rank life form, one of the strongest beings on the planet. Of course, the primordial spirit is not the same as the physical body. Without the restrictions of flesh and blood, as long as the realm is reached, it can almost grow infinitely. Chapter 170. The dispute over spreading the Tao and the Great Fate, 100 years in balance. Those three children of destiny. Lin Yuan's expression fell into brief contemplation. What are children of destiny? Favored by the world, even drinking water could lead to serendipity. In summary, having extremely good luck, often turning misfortune into fortune and continuously growing stronger. And these points were what Lin Yuan had finally witnessed today. Under normal circumstances, Xiao Hua, Yang Bixin, and Xin Lang were supposed to go to Tianjian Mountain to challenge Tianjianzi and pave their own paths toward the 10th realm. If everything went smoothly, when the three of them reached Tianjian Mountain, Lin Yuan's Taiyin primordial spirit would descend and flatten Tianjian Mountain with a single footstep. With the strength of the Taiyin primordial spirit, regardless of what methods those three children of destiny had, they were destined to die. However, under such circumstances, for some unknown reason, those three children of destiny suddenly stopped midway, had a few words with Situ Ming, and even invited Situ Ming to go with them. It was just this slight delay that saved the three children of destiny from a massive disaster. One could only say that the luck of these three children of destiny was too good. You must know, compared with the three of them, Situ Ming, although also part of the younger generation, was far from their equal. Usually, Xiao Hua and the others wouldn't even stop to talk to Situ Ming, let alone have such a prolonged conversation today. Is it really luck? Or some kind of hint? Lin Yuan looked thoughtful. Actually, with Lin Yuan's strength, if he really wanted to kill those three children of destiny, no matter how much the world favored them, no matter how good their luck was, it wouldn't matter. The three of them were still destined to die. There was no chance for luck. In the face of absolute strength, only equal strength can contend. As for the rest, all illusions. However, Lin Yuan had insights into the cosmos. He faintly felt that, even if he killed those three children of destiny, it wouldn't mean anything. As long as this world existed, in several years or decades, there would still be a fourth, a fifth, a sixth child of destiny born. That's why just now, The Taiyin primordial spirit looked at those three children of destiny and said the word interesting.
Pitiable.
Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. Children of destiny are favored by the world. But success by destiny, and failure by destiny. The next line to when the time comes, the world exerts the same force, is when luck departs, the hero is no longer free. What does not free mean? The children of destiny can be seen as the children of the cosmos. Or perhaps incarnations of it. Their limit is the limit of the world. And they can never escape the shackles of the world. Of course, there is also the possibility that a child of destiny eventually overcomes the consciousness of the world and turns defeat into victory. But the likelihood is too low. Everything you have, all your methods, are conferred by the world, are bestowed by the cosmos. With what will you win? Speaking of which, in recent decades, the great forces of the world have surged, and three children of destiny have been born in succession, also influenced by me. Lin Yuan's thoughts started to spin, suddenly realizing. Over the years, Lin Yuan's strength had constantly grown, breaking free from past constraints time after time. Others might not be aware, like Situ Ming, Nuanshu, Moyang Demon Lord and his other subordinates. At most they just realized that Lin Yuan was very strong. But how strong he actually was, they had no concept. Or rather, they couldn't even imagine. However, this world, this cosmos, could feel the changes in Lin Yuan's strength. Excessively powerful individuals bring a sense of crisis to the world, and lead to the rise and fall of great fortunes, the emergence of children of destiny. In a way, the birth of these children of destiny is for the purpose of subduing demons, to bring down Lin Yuan, the startlingly powerful demon. But birth of children of destiny also requires time. Even investing the power of an entire world to nurture three children of destiny, and reaching the peak of the 9th realm in just over 20 years, is considered incredible. But Lin Yuan's growth rate is even more astonishing, so fast that even the children of destiny cannot compare. This has led to a rather awkward situation. Facing Lin Yuan, the children of destiny would have their spirits crushed. Not to speak of subduing, they wouldn't even dare to harbor such thoughts. Sigh. As Lin Yuan was contemplating, the Taiyin primordial spirit before him opened his mouth slightly, and released 2 streams of primordial spirit force. These 2 streams of primordial spirit force began to condense upon coming out, turning into 2 thumb-sized figures. It was Tianjianzi and Bai Qing'er. The primordial spirits of other powerful beings were swallowed by the Taiyin primordial spirit to nourish itself without any hesitation. But these 2 were held in a special position in Xiahou Yuan's heart. Of course, it wasn't any kind of good position. Swallow them as well, Lin Yuan said as he looked down at the 2 tiny figures of Tianjianzi and Bai Qing'er. He felt a sense of dullness for a moment. He didn't wait for the 2 to awaken, nor did he wait for them to show shocked and fearful expressions when they awoke and saw Lin Yuan. He directly summoned the Taiyang divine spirit and swallowed the 2 primordial spirits as well. Devouring the primordial spirits of living beings can pollute one's own soul's purity, but occasionally swallowing a few isn't a problem. From Lin Yuan's current heights, unless he devoured billions or quadrillions of living beings in a short period of time, there would be no problem or hidden danger. Having settled the grudges of his original self, Lin Yuan began contemplating the next matter, which was spreading the Tao. Along with his rising status in the main world, Lin Yuan discovered that the main world's superpowerful beings would spread paths of evolution related to themselves or their kin. For instance, the innate ancient gods in the depths of the cosmic starry skies. With their might, if they weren't willing, there wouldn't exist the ancient god evolution path. In fact, the ancient gods were very eager for the ancient god evolution path related to themselves to spread among humans. Hello everyone, this is Shadow. Due to copyright restrictions on YouTube, I can't publish many of the audiobooks you love. That's why I've created a special paid service where you can enjoy over 300 high-quality audiobooks from platforms like Webnovel, Pocket FM, Audible, Wuxia, and more. Each novel comes as a one-time purchase, no subscriptions, no hidden fees. After payment, you'll receive full access via Telegram, along with all future updates for that novel. You'll find a wide selection of your favorite genres and titles, always in premium audio quality. Check the full list of available novels in the description. DM me now to get your favorite stories in audiobook form and start listening today.